Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Got another different one I'm working on this week. This is one you've seen in the background in many of my other videos. It is my wife's 2021 Acura RDX. So this video is just going to be basically a maintenance video. One of the reminder lights popped up on the dash, so I'm going to do a quick walkthrough of the Acura maintenance warnings, what each one means, and then just walk through this basic maintenance, nothing too crazy or anything like that. So that being said, I am going to get the camera turned around and get to work. So real quick, this is what has popped up. It is the maintenance due reminder, and it is the B1 maintenance. So I'm going to pop up a screen real quick that just has a little breakdown of how these maintenance schedules work, as far as what is included in each one based on the alphabet letter and the number that comes up. So being that this is a B1 maintenance, it is going to be replace engine oil and filter, and then do a bunch of inspections such as front and rear brakes, check the spare tire kit, tire rod ends, gearbox, boots, all that fun stuff. Inspect the suspension, inspect all the drive shaft, CV boots, check the hoses, brake hoses, check fluid levels, just do a general inspection underneath of fuel lines, exhaust system, things like that. And then finally the one, which is rotate tires. So I'm going to go ahead, get this thing in the air, get the wheels off, and get to work. All right, so what I did is, first thing I did was remove the wheel locks from all four wheels. Those are completely gone, and then I went and just loosened up the remaining four lugs ever so slightly, so it's easier for me to remove them once this thing is in the air. And then jacked it up, put jack stands under it. There are lifting points that are like reinforced on the pinch welds front and rear. Those are your spots for your jack. And then for the jack stands, I actually just put them under the the control arm bushing mounts. Those are pretty solid places. Hold the front end up. So the front is up in the air. I'm gonna go ahead and get the wheels off, get the oil started draining. I'll come back just to walk you through what I did there. Front wheels are off. And like I said, the front is up on jack stands now. I moved the fronts from the specific side straight back. I'll go into more of that with how I'm doing the rotation on the vehicle. As far as oil change goes, there's an access panel here. That there are these basically quick locks. You just use a flathead screwdriver, twist them in the direction it says on there, and then it should pop this panel off. So I'm gonna go ahead and get flathead, get this removed, and then I'll walk through the oil change. Four fasteners removed, and then the panel just basically drops down from the front and then slides backward because there's a little tab here that holds it in. And then you have full access. Pretty straightforward. It is labeled where your engine oil drain is, and then your filter is right there. So I'm going to go grab a wrench and the oil pan or oil drain pan and start this thing draining. And a short 17mm socket's all you need with a ratchet. And as you can see, everything is draining nicely. And while the oil is draining and the vehicle's up in the air and the front tires are removed, I'm gonna go ahead and just go through, check all the boots, everything like that in the front suspension area, check the brakes, make sure they all look good, which these ones do. You can see through the inspection ports, there's plenty of life left on everything. Wiggle things around, all that fun stuff. So if you're doing this, you should know what you need to do as far as inspecting suspension. You're just looking for anything loose, anything torn, anything leaking, things along those lines. So I'm gonna go ahead, get the front done before I pull the rear wheels off, and that way I can knock that off the list. All right, sump is just finishing up draining. I can hear it tapping on the drain pan. So while that was working on that, I did inspect both front corners as I kind of walked through. And what I did is the rears, I went ahead and corner by corner lifted it up, removed the tire, did the inspection back there, and then did the tire rotation. The rotation I'm doing on this, because this is basically a front wheel drive vehicle that kicks in the rear if needed, is the two fronts went straight back, and then the right rear went to the left front, and then the right front went to the left rear. So those are sitting back there waiting to go on the fronts, but the rears are already done. It's back on the ground. I still need to torque everything, But everything was inspected in the rear wheel wells. I checked all the suspension, sway bar links, rod ends, boots, things like that. Brakes, everything looks good. So since this seems like it is done draining, I'm going to crawl under there, get the plug back in, and then pull the filter. All right, plug is back in, as you can see here, and it is torqued to 30 foot-pounds per the Honda spec. I did reuse the gasket washer thing. I normally get a couple uses out of them, and then I'll swap them. Never really had an issue with doing this before. You can replace it every time. It is, your prerogative. Like I said, I normally don't have an issue, going a couple of changes with the same one. So anyway, that is done, and next is going to be to grab a wrench and get that pulled off. Filter is off and draining, and just here's what I use. I don't have an exact fit oil filter wrench, so I just use this one, which is basically somewhat of a universal fit. You slide it over, twist this, and it clamps down, and then you can put the 3/8 ratchet extension, ratchet, and then twist off that way. So works pretty well, somewhat of a universal, but you can get an exact fit one if you want. So I'm gonna let that drain for a minute, and then I'll go ahead and grab the new stuff and start getting it installed. And here's what's going in. I got 5 quarts Valvoline Restore and Protect Full Synthetic 0W20 oil. This is a newer type of oil, but heard really good things about it. Pretty impressed with it. I've run it in some of my other cars, so gonna try this on the car. I also always with oil changes, just out of habit, tend to run a thing of Lucas injector cleaner. It's just something I've always done. It's always, it's never failed me doing it. So just do that with the oil change. And then the filter for this, I got an STP Extended Life S7317XL filter. I'm gonna go ahead and slap this on first, and then I can put the under tray back on and get this thing back on the ground. And then real quick before I crawl underneath, I'm a big fan of pre-lubing oil filters. This is a difficult one because it goes in at like about a 45-degree angle or so. So I basically just half fill it. So it's halfway full, and then also plenty of oil on the sealing ring. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this up, and again, just go, hand tight, snug or so, or else you will fight it when it comes time to change it next time. All right, and done underneath. I went ahead, got everything hand tight as far as the filter goes, spun it on until it wouldn't really go down anymore by hand, wiped off all of the areas around there with its rag to make sure there's no oil that was going to drip off, especially where the mating flange is. Some will seep out, so wipe that down. And then went ahead and walked the cover plate back on. Again, you have to catch it on that catch right there and then pull forward. And then the 4 retaining fasteners, you push them up in until they go all the way in, and then with the flathead, quarter turn the opposite direction, and they will latch down. So we are all set here. Gonna get the wheels put back on and get this thing back on the ground. And we are back on the ground. Went ahead, all 4 corners are torqued to 80 foot-pounds per the spec manual, or the specs in the manual. So tires are on, good to go. So next is gonna be to fill this thing with oil and go ahead and check all the other fluids while I'm under here. So you're basically gonna be looking, coolant, brake, wishy-washy fluid, stuff like that. Just go through anything that's got a dipstick or a container, check it, fill it, top it off, whatever you need to do, and make sure you are good to go. Real quick, brake fluid looks all right. I got the funnel in here. I pulled the fill plug out, so I'll start filling that here in a minute. And coolant, some in the bottom there. So that looks like we're good. We're where we need to be. And then I will top off the washer fluid because that's low. So that I will top off. And then, I'm gonna go ahead and start filling the oil. And fill cap back in. I just pulled the dipstick, checked it. Everything read like it was supposed to. That was 5 quarts of oil in. In case you're curious too, there is no dipstick on these newer RDXs, so you cannot, or for the transmission. So you cannot check the transmission fluid yourself. It says go to dealer only. There may be some tips or tricks to do it if you search online. I haven't come across any, but this is allegedly one of those sealed transmissions that the dealers have to service. They don't want you touching it. But anyway, next up, I'm going to start it up, and make sure everything's good to go, no leaks, and then I'll come back after that. And the last thing you need to do after the oil change is reset your oil life. So what you do, start the car, it's running, make sure all doors are closed. You use your selector wheel here, push it until you get to the maintenance screen there showing oil life. And what we can do is push down the selector wheel to get the reset menu. So yeah, you hold down the scroll wheel when you're in the maintenance screen for a while. It took a little longer than I expected. Apologize for that. And then you'll get the options right here. So we're going to do options because we did everything. Push that, and all maintenance reset. And now we have 100% maintenance oil life good to go. So that is reset. So we are done as far as the maintenance goes. And the last thing on the list for this job is just going to go around and check the tire pressures, make sure the 33 psi as required per the vehicle. And that's it. That is the maintenance B1 for an Acura RDX. Again, this is model year 2021. I did set the tires at 33 psi per the spec. The fronts were a little high, the rears were right on, so it was pretty straightforward. And then, like I said previously, what I'll do is check the oil in the morning, see if it's still a little low. If it is, I'll go get another quart and top it off. But it may be like my Jeep, where when I change the oil, it reads almost a quart low, and then I check it the next morning and it's full. It just takes a while to drain down. So, yeah. So that being said, hope this helps you out. If it does, please hit like, please hit subscribe, please hit the notification bell. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section below. I do review them and I will reply. And that being said, thank you very much for watching and have a great day.